So for this video, we're going to have a secret word. If you don't remember what to do when you hear the secret word, here's Pee-wee explaining it to you.
For the rest of the day, whenever anyone says a secret word, scream real loud!
So today's secret word is birthday.
Ready? Let's try her out.
So if you're watching this on the day I publish it, which is on purpose on this day, August 27th, then you're watching it on Paul Rubens' birthday. So, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That's what I'll be talking about. That's what I'll be reviewing today. You saw my poll earlier in the week. Pretty sure it was this week, where I asked what movie was the first movie that Tim Burton directed. Pee-wee's Big Adventure was the answer. If you're wondering how that can be, I'll tell you the story. So there are different versions of it, and this one I heard from Paul Rubens himself, and well, not like himself in the same room. I mean, that would be amazing, and that would be a completely different video on a completely different topic. But this is what I heard him say in a video that I found. So he wrote Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and he sat down in a meeting, and they gave him a list of names, and they picked one that they thought would be good for him, and he said no. So at the end of that meeting, his manager asked him if he was crazy or not. I mean, it's Paul Rubens who invented Pee Wee Herman, so he's probably a little bit crazy, but in a very, very awesome, crazy kind of way. He said it just wasn't right for him. He wanted something else, and he was given a certain amount of time to find that person. He had no idea what to do. So he was going to people he knew, and eventually was geared towards Shelley Duvall, who he knew, who she just finished doing a short called Frankenweenie with Tim Burton. And yeah, that one later became an actual movie, but this was before that was even thought of. There was a short of it. So Paul sat down, watched about 2 minutes of it, and decided, yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy I want. Per recommendation of people he knew and seeing it himself, he knew Tim Burton was the guy. So he went back to the studio, told them who he wanted, and they kind of laughed at him. But Tim got the script, read it, loved it, declared that is going to be the first movie I direct. And you hear familiar sounding music. Danny Elfman. This was the movie that brought them together. And the rest is history. That is the backstory how this kind of came about. At this time, the Playhouse wasn't even invented yet. All he had was some stand-up behind him, an HBO special kind of based on the Playhouse, but kind of not. It wasn't really structured yet. And some late night appearances to kind of get word out about him. So anyone who didn't see the HBO special, this was the very first time you've met Pee Wee Herman. I did see that HBO special. An aunt and uncle of mine saw him live, which now that I think about it, I am extremely jealous of them for doing so. And he came home raving about him. Raving about Pee-wee. The kids will love this guy. And years later, with 2 videos on him, you kind of get the idea that we loved that guy. And so when Big Adventure came out, I already kind of knew what to expect from Pee-wee. And so the very beginning did confuse some people. Is he a child? Is he a grown-up that never grew up? What is the deal with Pee-wee? I don't know how much really to explain this movie to someone who hasn't seen it, someone who doesn't know Pee-wee, but I'll give it a shot. He's a man boy. Man boy? Immature man who is basically still a child. His house is a playhouse. See what I did there? He really never grew up. And I think that's why I recently told my mom and sister he's partly to blame for why I never really became like an adult. Because I had this guy as a role model, a guy who tapes up his face, which is what I've always loved about him. He doesn't have stress, he doesn't have worries, he just has his favorite things, he has his toys he plays with. He is kind of like the perfect adult. We should all aspire to be like him. We should all wake up in the morning and tape up our faces. Maybe we'll feel a little bit better. But back to the movie. So the movie overall is Pee-wee losing his prized possession, his bike. And the big adventure is watching him find that bike. And for Pee-wee, you expect a few bumps in the road. He hitchhikes, he gets some rides from strangers, finds himself in really awkward situations, but he always seems to come out of it okay. But there is one part. And mind you, when I first watched this movie, I think I was maybe like 6. So little 6-year-old me was terrified of one little scene, which I absolutely love now. I love this scene, and I look forward to it all the time. And it's just so classic Tim Burton. But 6-year-old me was terrified of Large Marge. If you know the story of Large Marge, you know probably why. She tells him this story, and it builds up and builds up into like this terrifying ghost story. Which, yeah, I know it's weird for me to be afraid of it. But then she says something that kind of gives away something that's about to happen.
It looked like...
I'd be like, nope. And I'd look back to see Pee-wee terrified, and I'd be glad I never looked. And then one day I decided to look, and it is my favorite thing in the world. Large Marge is amazing. And he finds himself getting bikers angry.
I'm trying to use the phone!
Finding his way out of it. And Pee-wee has drilled this song into my head where whenever I hear it, whenever I hear a single note of this song, I automatically think Pee-wee Herman. I feel like anyone who watched this movie, who feels the way about this movie that I do. So if you want to watch a movie that's just so much fun, really, you don't have to think about it. All you really do is just laugh. There's just so many things going on, so many things to look at, so many different toys to look at. You feel like a kid again watching Pee-wee. At least that's how it is for me. I love this movie. I could watch it any given time. I can't say enough about this movie. I feel like if you haven't grown up with him, you may not get it the way we all get it. And granted, we didn't really know what was coming our way either, because a year after this movie is when The Playhouse came out. And then when The Playhouse came out for 5 years, we were just all in love with him. It was Pee-wee everything. And this is what I love. So there's little things that people are doing in honor of him. A lot of theaters are playing this movie in his honor. But there is this dinosaur they use. And in honor of Paul, they did this to it. Tim Burton, he said that he owes Paul Rubens his career. He got him started, which he did with this movie. But he also got Danny Elfman into this movie. So really, just with that alone, you should watch this movie if you haven't watched this movie already. I am telling all of you guys who are Tim Burton fans to go watch this movie. And Pee-wee fans. I mean, you have to watch it if you're a Pee-wee fan. You're shaking your heads or yelling at your screen right now saying, of course I've seen it. I'm a Pee-wee fan. Watch it. Watch it today if you can, in honor of Paul Rubens. I know I will, because it's his birthday. Happy birthday, Paul.
Good screaming, everybody.
I hope wherever you are now, you're enjoying your new big adventure. Bye.